Hello everyone, it's me again. I'm kind of doing an impromptu video today in answer to a Facebook friend. Her name's Miss Gray. I'm dedicating today's video to her. She specifically asked me a question of what was hollow points, what was their purpose basically. So I hope to make a video today to explain certain things, and hopefully she'll find this information useful. I'm not on here to argue with anyone. So let's get ready to get started and let's get into this. Okay, first of all, I'm not going to address 9mm 40 cal or 45 versus each other on stopping power. To me, it's a myth as far as stopping power to a point, because bullet placement is going to be more important than what the caliber is. I've seen people get stopped with 22s and 25s because the bullets were shot in specific areas that they were supposed to be in. So let's get into the bullets themselves. Now, a lot of people think that when you show them around, and I've had people say this to me recently, they think this whole bullet is going down the barrel and coming out striking someone. So I have to explain to them that it is the bullet head is the only thing that's coming out. The shell casing does not go down the barrel and strike. So even though a bullet could be super large, the overall case or cartridge could be super large, it's a very small part of it that's going out the barrel to strike someone. Then you get into different types of bullet heads. Now, for example, what they call range ammo is what I term full metal jacket. It's just one solid piece of metal, as you can see. Usually it's round nose, it could be flat nose, but it has a lead core, copper jacket, one solid piece of metal. You have some bullets that are considered lead, and as you can see, and this is considered a wad cutter. It's designed more for accuracy, and it does have a flat tip. You have some bullets that are what they call soft tips. You see a lot of hunting ammunition. It's a solid copper bullet, and at the front it has a lead soft tip. It helps it to deform and helps to be able to stop an animal or whatever target that you're shooting at. And then you have what is called a hollow point. And this is a jacketed hollow point. Copper jacket, lead front, and in the center, as you can see, it has a hollow part. Now, all of them that are set up like that, they call them self-defense rounds. The full metal jacket, which, as I said before, was the one metal, one large chunk of metal, they call that range ammo, which to me that's a misnomer, because the military's been using full metal jacket as long as I can remember, and it's effective on stopping people. But in today's times, they want you to use certain type of heads. Now, another part of the bullet is the primer. That is the little bitty round circle that's right here in the back of the round that the firing pin strikes, that detonates the round. And then you have the shell case that the bullet itself goes down into. Let's see if I can get that to hold up there. Okay, that's basically the anatomy. And then you have a small powder charge that goes in it that shoots the bullet at a certain amount of feet per second and gives it a certain amount of energy per pound ratio when it strikes a target. Now, most guns that they say have between 400 to 500 foot-pounds per square inch of energy striking a target. Some people call those real man stoppers. Basically, when the bullet strikes the body, it delivers a certain amount of kinetic energy. And that kinetic energy basically the flesh that's around that bullet hole, it turns that flesh to almost like jelly. The kinetic energy delivers killing power to your organs inside. Now, the problem with the Full Metal Jacket, seeing that it's one solid piece of metal, is you get into an overpenetration problem. It'll go in and come out the back. And when it leaves the body, it takes a certain amount of kinetic energy with it. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, the Germans, when they invented 9mm, they wanted a pistol round that could create two holes. They wanted an entry wound and they wanted an exit wound, because they felt on the battlefield, if you was hit by one, creating two holes to bleed from instead of one is going to help you bleed out faster. Now, if you lose a certain amount of blood, you're going to pass out and go unconscious, what makes you combat ineffective at that point. Even if you survive, you can no longer fight. And that was the whole ideal behind the double wound round. But in our modern day society, that double wound is going to have that bullet flying somewhere and could strike someone else. I mean, if you're a concealed carry person, you're responsible for where that bullet goes if it shoots through a person and into someone else. Now, the advantage with what they call the home defense rounds or self-defense rounds is, again, that hollow point is designed to flatten out. When it goes so many inches inside of you, it starts to expand and mushroom out, and that the more it mushrooms out, the more it causes it to stay inside of you, and it delivers all that kinetic energy to your internal organs, which is supposed to stop you or kill you that much faster. Now, for me, when you selected a target, and you should train, because there's no substitution for training. You want to train to the point that your training becomes muscle memory. Now, that way, if something happens, you instinctively do something without even having to think about it. Most people train to shoot for center mass. Depending upon the situation, and a lot of times you're not going to have time to think. So again, muscle memory is going to be important. I go by the 3 B's to try to stop someone. That is blood, brains, and bone. First target area, and if you have a shirt on, should be about, if you got buttons on your shirt, it should be about the 3rd button. The 3rd button is your center mass. Behind it's going to be your heart, and it's going to be your lungs. Your heart is like a hydraulic pump. It's pumping blood to the body. If you can stop that heart, injure that heart where it's not pumping blood, you're shutting that person down. If you hit those lungs and those lungs collapse, you're helping to shut them down. If you can nick the heart or nick the aorta and go right through one of the lungs, even more effective on shutting someone down. But I also want you to understand, there's no single bullet out there that's for handgun that's first shot stop capability. People react different ways to being shot. I've seen some people that I've heard of that got shot by 22 that sprang up off the ground and went backwards because they suffered a muscle spasm that they couldn't control, and it just made them jump. And everybody's like, wow, look at the stopping power of that bullet. But most people would know 22 is not designed to knock someone down. Then I've seen others that could get hit by a 45 and still seem to be talking, from what I saw in videos or talked to paramedics and stuff, and they're telling me that these people are still cognitive and were still able to talk to them reasonably well. So don't get an idea if you fire one shot that they're going to drop dead and they're going to fall. You have to continue to shoot until you stop the threat. And that's going to be the most important thing. Like right now in my city, we recently had a young brother that got shot and killed, and he was basically doing petty theft, shoplifting. Police arrived. He tried to run from them. They caught up with him. He assaulted the police, then ran into an apartment, came back out of the apartment with a big knife in his hand. And if you know what the 20-foot rule is, there are those people that believe, and they're pretty fast on their feet, that if your gun is in your holster and they're standing within 20 feet of you, they can cross that distance in 1.5 to 2 seconds and put that knife into you before you can get your gun out of your holster to defend yourself. Well, they tried to talk this guy into putting the knife down. He didn't want to. He began to close the distance, and they shot him dead. Now, in a 20-foot rule situation, again, if a person's rushing you and they got a knife, you win, they win, or it's a tie. And I give ties to the perpetrator because he's taking you with him. And the object for you is to survive, not let him take you with him. So even if you're shooting him and his forward momentum is still going to propel him forward, you have to be ready to step out the way, or he's going to plunge that knife into you with his dying breath as he goes running past you or running into you, which is his goal. So if you're in a 20-foot rule situation, we're going to talk right now about, again, blood, brain, and bone. That third button area is your primary. That's your center mass. You don't want to just try to shoot the upper body. You want to aim for specific points. So if you miss, you're still hitting close enough that you're doing damage to that lungs and that heart. And that's what your main goal is. You shut down the hydraulics in a person's body, you shut him down. Second area is this window area between the eyes and the nose. Putting a bullet anywhere through there, going back into the brain, is going to shut them down. And then a third area is going to be pelvic bone region here, where you feel your big hip bones here. That's a big bone area. In that area down there, you have your femoral arteries coming up from the legs. You have your motor nerves for the legs. You do have other arteries in that area, and you have the pelvic bone itself and the intestines. A shot to that area, even if you miss slightly and go left or right, you're going to puncture the intestines, which if they survive the hit and don't seek medical treatment, having that waste released into their body is going to kill them within a day or two. So they still end up dying of their wounds. But hitting that area and hitting that bone disables the bone. It also cuts their motor nerves to their legs, which means they can't stand. They drop. And on top of that, if you hit any of the arteries, they've got seconds to maybe a minute, and they bleed out. Even if someone's hanging out from behind a tree and they got their arm exposed, where you can shoot that elbow joint or shoot that hand to make that hand be disabled, or make that elbow joint be disabled. Bone will disable if a bone strikes it. Knees, great to do, but if someone's rushing you, you can't aim for someone's knee. You don't have that kind of time. You shoot for the biggest target, and you try to use the rounds that has the most chance of stopping inside of them, so you're not injuring innocent people behind them. Because again, remember, you're responsible for that, where that bullet flies to, if it shoots through them. So your home defense rounds, which are your hollow points, are going to deliver the most kinetic energy to their organs. They're supposed to stop inside of them, and it's going to give you a real good chance of being able to stop them quickly. Full metal jacket, I have no problem shooting full metal jacket, but in today's society, they call it range ammo. They want to say that you're doing something illegal, shooting somebody with range ammo. So they want you to use self-defense loads, and self-defense loads are almost designed to kill somebody. So that's what you have to decide. If you're going to load your weapon, you do have to have some home defense loads in it if you're going to carry concealed. You don't want to have range ammo in it and be out there and then have to go into court and explain why you use one over the other. But again, know the different types of heads that are out there. There's all kinds of different types of ammo. I mean, they have what they call green tip ammo and black tip. That's armor piercing. Red tip is considered incendiary, like tracers, but they also have red tip hollow points. That's a nylon tip that's designed to go down inside the bullet and force the bullet to again mushroom and open up. You've got lead, that's just standard. Soft tips, jacketed hollow points. You got blue tips, which is subsonic. You got orange tips, which is incendiary. When you go to different places and you're buying ammo, it pays to know a little bit about the ammo so that you're not buying the wrong thing when you're out there searching for something. But again, practice, practice, practice. That's going to make perfect. You have to get out there and train with your weapon. You have to be familiar with it, because when it comes time for you to have to use it, you don't want to be fumbling around figuring out how to load it, how to do this and that. And then you want to have reliable ammunition in it. And the only way to know if it's reliable is to buy certain name brands, go to the range, shoot it, and see if it functions flawlessly in your gun. There are some ammo out there, even some hollow points, that will jam in certain guns. It's important to find the brand and type of ammo that functions flawlessly in your gun and stick with it. Stock that ammo up. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but it's all I can think of right now. But again, the 3 B's to remember is blood first, because if you can bleed them out, that stops them. Brain second, to stop them. And then bone third, to bring them to a stop. And shoot for areas of the body that gives you the most target-rich opportunity as far as vital organs and different things that if you hit them, it's going to induce enough pain. Because there's a lot of people that if they're high on drugs or certain hallucinogens or even drunk, their pain threshold is going to be different than what yours and mine would be. They'll be able to take more pain. They'll be almost numb to it. So just, again, thinking that I can shoot them with a bullet and it's going to stop them, don't count on that. You shoot for key areas, and you use the type of ammunition that's going to give you the greatest chance to bring them down, especially if they're high on something. And again, hollow points will be the ammunition that you want to use. But again, go to the range, shoot different types, find out what works best in your gun, and stick with that type. So that's all I have to say today. If you have any more questions, Ms. Gray, just reach out to me. I hope this was beneficial to you. And can't think of nothing else right now. So again, I hope this helps you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.